Holy cow. Ben, could you imagine we made it this far?
Wow, episode 2.
Episode numero
Back
dos.
by popular demand. And thank you for, or everyone for
Checking it out.
checking out the first episode of Peaking with
Manhead.
Well, let's just start this one off by saying, here's the first thing we learned about podcasting. Just as we were setting up for the episode today, we realized, we never really marked where we put the camera. So if we don't do that right now, every show is just going to be slightly inconsistent.
different.
I mean, they're going to be different and inconsistent
Which is fine.
in
But
terms
yeah.
of the subject matter, but the framework should be
Frame
clear.
should be steady.
And then
So-
that kind of led me to a few other.
How did we come to the solution here?
Well, we have a good friend named Ryan Fields.
Shout out to
Ryan Fields. And first met him when we were teching on tour with Bahamas.
Shout out to the whole crew there.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, or not the funny thing, the thing that we noticed about Ryan is that he's so organized, and we still have, like, he built our pedal boards. We got Darcy's amp, which is all striked. Like, he labeled everything, and everything was marked where the pedal board was going, where Athey was standing, where Darcy was standing, where the drum kit was going, and where the amps were going. And it's funny when, just as I came to this conclusion, I always knew why. It's to be organized.
Yeah.
And I just connected Jocko Willink's thing, the discipline equals freedom. And what I interpret Ryan's doing is because a show day on tour is chaos no matter what. So if you're more present with the moment and not worried about setting up the amp and where it's going to go and putting the drum kit here and there and getting all the tones dialed in, if that's more or less already taken care of, now you're free to be present to whatever the day is going to throw at you.
Yeah,
it's like controlling the fixed variables.
It's like programming yourself almost, like programming the video game, being like, here's what needs to be done every day, repeated. And then the other variables might be out of control, but you can attend them because you know the repetition, which is like, wow, that's a great way to set up your day.
Yeah.
That's just a mind blower almost.
Well, shout out to Ryan Fields for knocking that one loose in our old brains today.
And so we've got some tape on the tripod here.
Yeah.
Strike, strike, strike.
Yeah, we strike the floor, so now we know where the tripod goes
so
every
this
time.
frame is going to be steady. You won't see any movement of the frame.
And we won't have to worry about where the tripod's going next time when the mics are lagging and we don't know what's going on.
Exactly. We could get our mind free to worry about other things.
Or just get carried away in, imagination.
That's why we just start playing songs.
Exactly. When you don't know what to do, let it come through.
TM.
Organization is something I guess we could address.
Well, it's we're getting into it more and more. Maybe because we're getting older or getting like more information about this, but it seems to be.
It's like the more we've dug at our thing, like the whole start of our thing of Mountain Head was getting more organized, even just from the outfit and black and gold being the colors. We just had to clear it up with ourselves and able to communicate it clearly outwardly.
Right. We had to understand it first. Like we couldn't not understand it and then try to communicate it. So, and then it's like in the understanding, we could move forward because we understood it.
And we just, it's been it's like the same thing we were kind of saying.
Continuous understanding, like
continuous
and learning.
and organization, and just dialing it in more and more and more, because as you progress, you keep illuminating where you could be putting your attention. You keep illuminating how you could get better. You keep illuminating where you're slacking off, and it just keeps getting more dialed in to the point where if you were explaining it, especially say like when I was saying the other day, I was playing sitar and I got this 5-sheet run I'm going through.
Yeah.
But I started just picking it apart so much that I sat there and played like the first 15 notes again and again and again, because you can just keep getting so more critical, and that can be its own problem if it gets too critical. But you can start to really dial in these sub-layers and then sub-layers of these things to make your life better, freer, and more creative, because you don't have to, if your room's clean, you don't have to pick up your socks and your underwear and your pajamas every day. Like if you just do it at the time, then you don't have to come back and do that and spend an hour cleaning your room if you didn't do it for a week. And
right.
I'm kind of trailing off here, but like
And it's like more of like a moving mindset. Like it's flowing rather than fixed
Yeah.
all the time.
And that, I mean, release schedule was probably like the first thing we had to really get organized because
We have to organize the songs too, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
it's-
the whole
we're
thing.
gonna-
You
you
can't you can't present chaos unbounded. Like so, the more you can organize it, the more you can communicate it. Really,
Which
because you
is-
understand it more.
yeah.
Or
And
the
I think,
process at least of
I
organizing.
mean, going back to the like the creative side of the organization, for sure, what we did when we wrote "We Stole Your Head" and really found our sound was simplified everything we were doing. You know,
Right.
maybe I remember we had that song Al Green, what we were playing with Drew back in the day. It was
Yeah.
such a sick groove.
yeah,
But it's like that song starts with a D minor 7. That's got, you know, you got a few notes coming out there.
that's like five.
We
too
Stole
many.
Your Head starts with C sharp, just
yeah,
the
yeah,
note.
yeah.
And so we organize it that way, where it's like, you know, if you start like this, you can expand infinitely and retract infinitely. But if you start up here, your dynamic range is now limited slightly, unless you're getting really fucking loud. But
You're gonna hit the
who really
ceiling
wants that?
quicker.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
And like the organization came in song arrangement. Song arrangement is something that I'm ever fascinated in and always
sure.
always learning about, and something that I think is highly overlooked in terms of. And the funny thing is like not to also hyperfixate on it, but just understanding the economies of energy in songs, just like the cuts. Like, you know, we realized after one episode we're gonna have to get some more cameras to cut to keep flow going. So must the song keep that flow. If it
Yeah.
starts to drag or get boring, it's like it starts to wane in attention. And I
Yeah.
think some of the
Starts
first
to
things,
like fade in the background.
yeah.
The foreground is no longer attached from it to it.
And the funny thing is too, or contrary to popular belief, is like taking things out of the song is most times more powerful than putting more shit in.
Yeah.
Because you can, you know, say let it out. A cool thing I remember doing, or we were doing, was, you know, that I don't even know what is it. The second pre-chorus. I've been out drinking and smoking. And there's nothing going on, and then into
Yeah,
the snare
the
hit
snare,
and
yeah,
brings
yeah.
the whole thing back.
Yeah.
Like so,
You can,
there we went
drift
down.
off, and then you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we went down to just vocals and and
Right.
because of that, it makes the next part huge. Instead of like being like, oh, we need to add 2 more guitars there. We go, let's take out everything.
Yeah. By contrast, like it's like relative.
Yeah.
The changes, right? It's again, this is like the flowing and not fixed mentality. It's like, well, more loudness then,
Yeah.
more. It's like, well, no, it's the balance between the two is where you're getting that like movement.
Exactly. If you're stoned all day, or you stoned, like you need the contrast between sober state and the other state, or else either of them become.
Or waking or dreaming is like
Yeah,
one that you
exact
can't
same
really
thing.
avoid. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not condoning marijuana use, by the way. I'm also not going against it. But yeah, the
that's-
song structure thing.
Exactly.
I feel like we kind of that helped us, and that was a lot of Darcy. Shout out again to our rock and roll dad, Darcy Yates.
Yeah, for sure. And like simple things like
Yeah.
here, look here, look here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everywhere you're not looking, because where you're looking is too complicated.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's guys. I'm telling this to myself as I'm saying it to the camera. Start with the single note with everything in life. Don't start behind the wheel of the Lamborghini. 'Cause even if you succeed starting at the wheel behind the Lamborghini, where are you going to go? Bugatti, done.
Well, yeah, and you're
And
probably
these
not
are all
gonna be a good
metaphors, by the way.
driver, so
Yeah.
that thing's probably going to be out of control.
You start in a cardboard box with cardboard wheels, and you work
Yeah,
your
the
way.
soapbox.
Yeah, you work your
We
way
know
up
this.
to
It happens naturally.
whatever dream car metaphor you want to use.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's clearer that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like again, the Al Green, "We Stole Your Head," "We Stole Your Head" is like clearer.
Way clearer.
Yeah,
Because it's like the goal was the song. The goal wasn't kill time or vamp out. You know, we were really into jamming before.
right. Because we were having a blast. I get
Yeah,
it.
it was a
because
blast.
It was amazing. But
At some point, that blast becomes just a flourish of technique, or whatever it
just,
is.
like overindulgence, like
Yeah.
too much ice cream.
It's like, you know, it's cool to do that in the studio, or I mean, not even in the studio. I keep it even simpler in the studio, in the rehearsal space, or if you're having the buds over to jam, then you can light up the 20-minute solos and
Yeah.
take the song through a multiplicity of different areas and then, slam it back home and get the big wow. But, the big wow only happens once during a show if you're doing that stuff. But it happens a lot when the songs are more organized and they're only about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What else? Like pre-choruses. Pre-choruses are a huge thing too that I think gets overlooked at times.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, I'm not speaking with any. I'm a student eternally for all of this as well. But the pre-chorus,
Just our findings along the path.
yeah, the Mountainhead pre-chorus. That's like a signature thing with our song arrangements because it's like the anticipating part. It's like the verse. You're like on this trail. And you're on your way to this big special thing, and that big special thing is the chorus. But at one point, you got to go into this, like you got to break off the path to get there, and that's what the pre-chorus does. And it's one of those like economies of energy where it, usually will get more rhythmic with it, or we'll go up, like it'll change to just break up the camera shot to change
for the change of the chorus. Yeah, I guess
it welcomes in the big guy.
Yeah, the big old chorus. The big guy. Which are hard to write too, man. Like I think that's where it's like.
And a funny thing with Darcy when we were first working together, and now maybe once in a blue moon he'll still say it, where we'll write a song and the chorus will become the pre-chorus, and then we'll write a chorus that was way better than
the
pre-chorus. Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, and then you put it there, and then you write a banger chorus, and you're stoked because it is a great pre-chorus. But that's also like a funny songwriting tip is like treat whatever song you're really digging right now of yours, if you are a writer or creator, put that as your pre-chorus and see what happens after. And maybe it won't work, but try it, see what happens. I mean, we've definitely done that many times. Yeah. Gaslight was a bridge to a song at one point.
Right.
And eventually when the bridge starts sounding better than the whole song that was previously been written, you decide that you make a song out of this.
Exactly. Like once in a while, we're just like collaging this stuff sometimes. And sometimes it works, and obviously sometimes it's McGirt.
Yeah. Sometimes you're trying to jam a triangle in a sphere.
Yeah. But that's learning, I guess. I mean, or whatever. Like that's how you figure out. That's contrast there. Like the ones that work and the ones that don't. You wouldn't,
Even the flip, like because you were primarily playing guitar before.
Yeah.
When you started playing bass, our music playing together got way more organized.
For sure. And clear, because we were like not in the same space.
Occupying the same sonic space. Where
yeah.
It's like both of us are on the one side of the seesaw wondering why it's not going up and down.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Knoxville and Pontius there.
Yeah. And then we learned how to dance around each other. And a lot of that was back when we had the what do you call them? The jazz residency down at the cellar with Brady. Shout out to Brady. Chef Brady on Instagram.
Sharon.
Chef Brady Davies on Instagram.
Yeah.
That was a huge spot for us during the transition into Mountainhead because
Brady you just like do whatever the fuck you guys want to do. We're like, oh, okay.
And what even funnier was prior to that was me in there with backing tracks, just shredding jazz licks endlessly. And then I remember one day I was just sitting there playing jazz licks, and I was doing it because the last person that played there was that that old dude who just shred jazz. So I was like, assuming that that's what you do at a nice restaurant like that.
Well, what else?
But also forgetting that Brady's a fucking legend. And he comes up to me and he goes, "You can bring your brother, eh?" And I go, "Yeah."
Just turning on all these ideas.
And then he goes, "And you guys can play whatever you want."
Oh,
okay. So, there were some times we wrote some Mountainhead songs there and like worked some of them out.
Just watching people eat steak.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
There were some times, man, that, we were just lighting up some of the gnarliest grooves ever. And I was like, and people were like having a really good time, but how bizarre the mixture was between like the conservative folks having, why would I say conservative? The older, wealthier crowd eating steak, and we're just pumping out the weirdest shit you've ever heard. Yeah. And there's head nods while they're eating the filet.
Yeah.
And like, it was
we could push it pretty strange where it was like, why?
a couple times we did that.
Yeah.
But we were also doing an anthropological experiment to see how odd we could get it before people's heads would really start to poke up.
Yeah.
And then there was other
Same-
times
same
where we
with
would
us,
just
like, I mean, I didn't know what we were doing.
yeah, a lot of island music at times too, like getting
Yeah.
into those really like island vibe types of like super major happy sounding
Yeah.
jams. And same thing, like got a whole table swaying with a smile, and you're like, again, we're just experimenting deeply, and like likely because we've never heard music like this, so had the people in the restaurant
Yeah, it was just fun. And again, we learned how to play together, and then a lot before
prior,
that,
but there
too.
was a lot where we figured out how to
But,
dance
like the
together.
guitar and the bass.
We
Like
figured out how to
that's-
dance and like make this weird
Yeah, we didn't have to be
kaleidoscope
playing
swirl.
the same thing, and then like yeah, exactly. It just turns into a dance, which was awesome. But again, hilarious that like here we are just playing weird ass music, and people are just having a good old time.
Yeah, it eventually circled around to because that was very jammy too. Because we weren't really
Yeah.
we would sing sometimes, but we were
Yeah.
mostly just putting ambiance in there. But yeah, that was a cool time. It was all like just leading to getting more organized and
Right.
organizing our heads to creating the music, and then the organization never. And believe me, I got a lot of work to do on getting organized, but it never stifles creativity. In fact, like we were saying earlier about the tale of Ryan, it gives you room for creativity and
Exactly.
room to be there.
Right.
Because you don't have to, your brain's not getting scattered about all this shit that you were supposed to do or all this stuff that could be taken care of
That's
if you
covered.
put tape on the ground like we did. It's like you don't have to think about that. So now you're there with the moment to create.
Freeing up mind space to
Yeah.
to be creative.
Exactly.
So it's like that ironic thing. You think like getting organized is going to crush the creative. It's like no,
Yeah.
it gets you free to create.
Which it's even funny, like the reason we're doing this right now is the same thing. Like, let's just have something come out on Sunday. Here it is. It's like
Yeah.
just keeping something going
Yeah.
to make something happen. So it's like these two things are coexisting
Exactly.
simultaneously currently.
Yeah. But that's it. That's our little spiel on organization is we didn't know what we were going to talk about. And then as we were setting the tripod up, it came up. It's like that thing too. Like what's going chaos? I don't know. Boom. Oh, okay.
Hold on. We got to get a quick word from our sponsors. Here at Mountainhead Social Media, we have a vast variety of content for you. We have headlines.
We have Taco Tuesday.
We have Singer Dinger.
We've got Wednesdays that are Wednesdays.
We got In Session.
We've got Tuesdays that are Thursdays.
We've got In Review with Mountainhead.
And we've got Peaking with Mountainhead.
Follow along, won't you? At Mountainhead, at Mountainhead Music, at Mountainhead, at Mountainhead Music. Be sure to show your support in any way you can. Wow. Those guys are great.
Great advertisement there.
Supporters since day one.
They really have been.
Well, folks, I think that's all it is we have to say about organization and creativity in a helix with organization.
Yeah. At least that's our findings so far. Again, we're just walking up the path, up the mountain.
Just a quick, walk to a peak to have a chat.
And this is the second episode of Peaking
With Mountainhead. Please like and subscribe, smash all those buttons below. And if you want to hear any of our music or catch up with us on any social media platform, Mountainhead, search it. It's all there.
You know where to find us.
You know where it is. Thank you.
And see you next time.
Good night.